All right, glad to be back, David. As you know, as you well know, in the last couple of weeks we haven't been here, but because of personal issue, I lost my dear sister, Gloria, and Foreman Patrick, who had been sick for a while, and now, as people say, she's gone on to a better place. So, things like that, you kind of have to come back, readjust yourself, and do the thing that they know you like doing, and let's
Mhm.
get back to doing your work. And that's what I'm
Yeah,
back here to do now. Yeah.
absolutely. All
So
right.
thank
Well,
you, and thank all the people that sent me. I got a ton of well wishes from both our uh, YouTube page as well
mhm,
as Facebook and the Twitter and everything else. So I want to thank everybody for their well wishes and all. But I'm back on the grind now.
absolutely. And we're gonna start off with something that'll get us right back into the rhythm of it. Let's talk about Tyson versus Jones. We have different opinions about this, which isn't very often. So I'm excited to hear your views on this, Roy.
Okay, let's start out with this. First, I'll say why. Okay, I still don't see a reason why. They said it was for charity. It
Mhm.
got to the point people were actually looking for a fight. Okay, and I knew in the beginning. Again, I think the last time we were here, we kind of mentioned that, and I said you would get something like Pacquiao Mayweather, right? You're going to get a dance, and that's what you got.
Hmm.
The reason I don't see anything that I don't know where to fight. Okay, it's two things. People talking about boxing before the fight started. Now they're talking about boxing since the fight
Yeah,
has started. Because
yeah.
they're saying, oh my God, if you look at it's like, what a shame. These two guys are like 77 years old apiece. You got 200 years apart between them in boxing. And I kind of agree. Now, if they made money, hey, that's a great thing. But don't try to come on here and try to tell us that you were having an actual boxing match. No headshots was shown. I think Roy Jones threw one or two, a jab or something at Tyson's face. But the fact doesn't matter. They had people actually trying to bet on this. And then when I looked up and seen DraftKings or whatever that betting thing is, I said, oh, okay. And I guess some of the money
They
came
were
from
that
there.
was changing during the fight, which was interesting.
Yes, it
Yeah.
was.
It
Yes,
was
it
it was
was.
seesawing up and down. That's like
Yeah.
you see. That's why you don't want to bet because people don't know what the hell they're even seeing a lot of the time.
Now, if anybody was even silly enough, naive enough to bet on the fight, and they said, oh, I bet a draw. Hey, man, you won. But if you bet a knockout for Tyson, a knockout for Roy Jones Jr., well, guess what? They appreciate those $50 and $100 that you put down because suckers, you gave it away. And that fight, from a boxing standpoint, I think it did nothing to enhance the sport of boxing. To me, it did something to just take away more than the fact that we've seen enough fights that people have been forced to pay 75, $85, or whatever those fights have been for, and they felt so disappointed at the end. That's what I've seen, and I'm hoping
I've seen the
that
exact
they made enough.
opposite of everything you just said online. So this should be interesting. Um, I was never expecting a knockout, but I'm going to disagree with you. I think Tyson was going for a knockout because I saw him land a couple hard shots to the chin, to Roy's chin. And I saw my favorite thing, which I got excited about, was I saw glimpses of what could have been if they had fought for real. I My favorite part was when Roy ducked under and darted out the side under one of Tyson's like tremendous hooks.
Hooks.
That got me really hyped. I saw both men landing. I saw both of them go back to the original style. The thing that disappointed me wasn't so much that Roy Jones Jr. wanted to clinch so much. He was very adamant and very honest about the fact that when he took this, he thought it was going to be happening immediately and that Tyson would not have time to train. He thought Tyson was going to gas over a couple rounds. So from the beginning, it cracked me up when the refs like stop clinching. He's like, I don't want to get hit.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
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 like right
right.
away. But I thought both guys showed their stuff. I didn't really want any kind of knockout, nor did I expect it. But I wanted both guys to show what they could do in the ring at an advanced age for boxing. And I think we got that. I think we got a good, entertaining exhibition, which is what it was supposed to be. As long as it's safe, I'd like to see more people come back. Which is I know the exact opposite. I asked you, I'm like, Roy, what if this is a good fight? And you're like, that would be terrible for boxing.
Yes, it would be. Yes,
Yeah,
it would be.
but
I mean,
I've seen a lot of people say they thought it was a good fight, that it was a good show.
David, people like nostalgia. Okay.
Hmm.
And that's just the way it is. The younger kids today who are following the sport, they don't know. They probably go back to maybe to Deontay Wilder, Floyd Mayweather, to that point when they kind of start watching because of Mayweather 49-0 and the Money Mayweather thing. Okay, maybe that's 15 years or so back, right? Well, 12, 15 years. We'll go with that. But the problem with nostalgia is you can never recreate it. They've made a couple of movies, but there's certain movies they just don't fool with. You don't bother Casablanca because you cannot remake that movie, okay?
Okay.
I'm sorry. You can't, you don't, the harder they fall, which is a great.
You don't want to see a Casablanca remake with The Rock?
I would. Who would they put
and
in
Rob
it?
Schneider as comic relief?
Yeah, I mean, who would they put in it? That's what I mean. Some things you just don't do. Mike Tyson is not going to be Mike Tyson of 1988 and 98. You said you saw some things they did. The only thing some of those things worked good is because they both were so slow, they couldn't get out of the way.
Yeah, but that's the thing is that they both, if it was one of them against a modern fighter, it would have just been sad. But if the thing is, if you decreased half their speed, both of them, and half their stamina, both of them, then you still got the fight you would have had in slow motion with less action.
Right.
And for me, that's all I wanted to see. A lot of people were expecting them to do nothing but hug or gas. Neither person gassed out. Jones was very tired. He was panting during the post-fight interview 5 minutes later. But Tyson looked like he was ready to go 5 more rounds. I don't know. There's something about seeing two guys at that advanced age still be able to move around like that, still show their stuff, and still compete in a fairly safe environment, which is why Tyson's talking about legends leagues. The danger in that is you might get what happens with Chuck Liddell and Tito Ortiz, their last fight, where Liddell looked like he needed a wheelchair. Not, it looked like he should have been out there on a walker,
Exactly.
But Tyson didn't, and Jones didn't.
But how many of those guys are that way?
That's what I don't know. That's what I want to find out.
I mean, you can say, Mel, maybe Vander Holyfield is. Maybe. Maybe Riddick Bowe, who was kind of, dysfunctional before he ever quit. When you start naming especially the heavyweights, because people seem to have the interest in, okay, so when you reach back, let's see. Larry Holmes and Gary Cooney was a good fight. Let's make that one. They're 70 years old. Let's put them in there. Okay? But if you want to see some good gym fights, some good guys, 55, 60 years old, we got a lot of them in our gym. I'm just going to start streaming them on, putting them up. I give them to you for $20 and watch two old guys beat the crap out of each other. They'll beat the crap out of each other. There's no point. There's nothing this way. I just don't think, if you say a Legends League, great. But where does Legends start? 35, 40? Because all these guys are boxing until they're 40, 45 years old now. Instead of thinking of my brother, of course, they're thinking that they can do that forever. But I mean, but a lot of
I think 40 to 55 would be decent. You're getting into your 60s. I don't think anyone's going to even approve you to fight. No one should have approved Chuck Liddell in the first place. You see, I think if we get competent, decent doctors and rules and regulations, then we could have hard sparring matches like this every once in a while, and it should be fine, and let these guys do it. But there is always the possibility of a tragedy happening,
I could not see. I'm trying to think. Let's say that the fights that never took place, Lennox Lewis and Riddick Bowe, two big guys, right? The fights that everybody wanted to see that never took place. Now, Lennox looks like he's in much better shape physically than Riddick Bowe.
He looked like that back then too. Yeah,
probably even a little bit mentally. You know what I mean, from a mental standpoint. So now you decided they want to do that same thing in a fight, not an exhibition. Now, one of those guys are going to either fall down or one's going to get hurt. Then you got to cry again for the safety of the sport of boxing. This is my business from a promotional standpoint. I can't argue with a commission about a kid that's 12-0 against a kid that's 10-2, or a kid that's 12-0 against a kid that's 3-0, and they're 20 years old age, right? And the commission said, well, that fight doesn't make sense because, you know, this guy had 15 fights, this guy only had 7. Now you got guys that are 55, 60 years of age. Boxers tend to be, and I'll say this in the nicest way that I can, most of these boxers, by the time they're 40 or 45 years of age, they're walking on their heels, they're stammering, they just don't have it anymore.
Right, which is what happened with Chuck Liddell.
Yes. I can name you quite a few guys that are out there now that's taken those beatings at 30, 35, up until 38, 39, 40. Mildred Taylor is a great one. He's not as old as Tyson, but look at this. There's no commission in the world going to prove him. There are a lot of guys that I see, but I've watched them, Dave, and I just don't think, like I'm saying, if they enjoyed that last night, that Saturday night when they enjoyed that, and everybody, oh my, and they started Snoop Dogg, and Ray Leonard looked like he was about as interested as a man going to the bed.
Ray Leonard was falling asleep.
Yes.
I think Leonard checked out during the YouTube / smallest man ever in the NBA fight. I forget both of their names, but
Nate Robinson and Paul Lowe.
Leonard was lively until then. And then I think after that, he's like, what the hell did my manager trick me into?
Yes. Now, and here's one of the greatest guys right here, Ray Leonard, who has to say, what are these guys doing? You know, that's it. So to me, that was the look.
I think if you have some hard sparring sessions where both guys show off their stuff, I think if you're going to end it during a cut, then require headgear anyways. Get some big gloves, and give them maybe some longer breaks. And I think if you're clear up front that, you know, as a fan, be expecting these guys to be showing off their stuff, seeing what the fight might have looked like. Don't expect any knockouts. Be ready for the fight to end suddenly if one of them gets slightly hurt. Then I think this could be a fun event. As long as you have people who are responsible, responsible people telling these guys if they can or they cannot fight. What I saw, I liked. I thought it was fun. I thought it was nostalgic. This was the first time that I can recall that I either got to. Well, no, I've seen Roy Jones Jr. fight live because he fought way past his prime. But this is the first time I ever saw Tyson fight live.
Okay. Well, see, that's what
stuff like that I think is kind of fun. 8 rounds, long breaks. Let him clinch a little bit more. Put some headgear on him, and I think this can be done responsibly. I'm not sure if it was done entirely responsibly last night because Jones did take some bombs. But I don't know. I'm kind of for this, and I should be ashamed that I'm kind of for this. But I'm kind of for this. They're grown men. I think they can make their decisions for themselves if professionals approve it and it's done in a professional manner.
And that's what has to happen. If the commissions are going to come back and say, okay, we want you to, because commissions require after 35 years of age, most guys, 35, 37, you take tests, right? EKGs, EEGs, and all that kind of stuff. If they're going to do it the right way, I still don't see it, but maybe that's what makes it pass. But I saw the referee a couple of times in the ring, and when they went to the break, I saw him doing this, which lets me know that a couple of those guys farted and passed gas. And I said, oh my God, Roy Jones got hit with a body shot. That's what they get, David. I mean, listen, I don't know the charity. I'm still waiting to hear what the charity is that made the money. If they made some, hopefully they did. It probably was a fun evening. But the next thing is, don't charge $50 for it. $20, $25 maybe, you know, because I actually think that next week we got a great fight coming up. I think it's going to hurt it. I really do. I honestly do. I think that's going to hurt the draw. So we'll see.